You know what I find to be very interesting? I find to be very interesting that people act like they didn't see this coming. Sure, some people may not have seen it coming, but men should have seen this coming. The consequences of listening to women, the consequences of having women in leadership, that's what we're talking about today. Because there's a difference between having a woman's counsel, a woman having a say, versus you having to listen to a woman. In America, the biggest group of voters are women. Women show up to vote more than men do. Problem is, if you think that voting matters, you're part of the problem. I just did a video called The Price of Apathy. And in that video, I talk about I review what was written by the Colonel. And the Colonel said, if you think that all you have to do is vote, pay bills, and everything will be okay, you're sadly mistaken. Anybody with a brain, anybody with common sense understands that voting is not the most powerful tool for change. People that think voting is the most powerful tool for change are idiots. And people that preach that message to you, leaders that preach that message to you, are committing treason, because they know that voting is not the most powerful method. If that was the case, people wouldn't have to go to war. People wouldn't have to fight. How do you make your vote count when people tell you your vote doesn't matter? How do you make your vote count when people tell you your vote does not matter? You do not make your vote count by voting. See? So, since we have allowed women to vote, and women have started being involved in politics more, we see how things are not done in the best interest of the children, of the people, of the future. We see this. Things are done in the best interest of idealism. They're done in the best interest of imagination. They're done in the best interest of fantasy. And this is the problem that we have. One of the downfalls of being prosperous is getting too involved in your imagination and detached from reality. So now that we're in a position where women can dictate to us through a vote, through a so-called vote, now that we are in a place where women can dictate to us in terms of, you know, the amount of money that they are making, and I'm not talking about dictate to me as an individual. I'm talking about dictate to us. The financial minister of Canada comes out and says certain things. That's to the whole of Canada. And you can be a man and you can have masculine frame But that's not stopping the financial minister of Canada from enacting the plan. Same thing when it comes to divorce court, things of this nature. The women are dictating. They've been given the tools to dictate. So a lot of men, a lot of blue pill men have willingly given over their power to women. They believe in equality. They believe in partnership, which basically means if I'm the man of the house and I think that we should vote for Trump and my wife think we should vote for Biden, she can go vote for Biden, I can go vote for Trump. What kind of household is that? When you get female leadership, you get the freedom to fail. You get failure. So now let's look at this, because I want to make specific. I want to start from 2020. You see what I'm saying? Because this is how we seen things unravel. This is how we seen things unravel. Who was the first people? Who was the first people? Who was out here telling people that they should submit? It was the women saying you need to wear a mask. It was the women monitoring everybody's behavior. And the girly men. If you looking at this situation and you can't see that it's been a setup from the beginning, then that's because you lack intelligence. You start in 2020 with the coronavirus. And they not trying to see where the men stand on issues. In 2020 was a great exemplification of the gender war, the propaganda of the gender war. Because I don't think Biden won the presidency regularly, but it was a great example of the gender war. It was a great example of men versus women. 2020. I'm going back, because when you listen to women over time, you lose. So when we go 2 years back, and we see the presidential election happening, we see people going back and forth. What was the only reason they gave you? What was the only reason they gave you to vote for Biden? They only gave you one reason to vote for Biden. That one reason was to get Trump out of office. That is a feminine way of thinking. That is a short-term way of thinking. We just going to vote for this guy to get rid of this guy. That's not how men think. And you saw a lot of men standing up saying, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Trump. You seen men all over the place saying they was voting for Trump. And you seen the women vehemently fighting against these men like, you're stupid, you're racist. This was being said to Mexican men. This was being said to black men. This was being said to white men. This was being said to all the people that voted for Trump. You racist, you stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, what was the difference? What was the primary difference between Trump and quote-unquote Biden? One person was preaching optimism and things will be okay. You just gotta think things through. and be responsible adults and move accordingly. And I'm not bailing you out. I'm not going to stop you from running your businesses. I'm not going to just hand out money. Remember, Trump gave us like maybe 1 or 2 stimulus packages, but they was taking a minute to come. Because he's like, we not shutting businesses down. And remember what happened. All of the riots in 2020. All of the riots in 2020. By people that was not going to work. You have all of this feminine energy floating around. Next thing you know, the women and the girly men in the propaganda machine voted for Biden. So now Biden gets in the office and he starts passing out money. Biden starts passing out money. And everybody's calm and collected. People robbing, they stealing, they getting PPP loans. I mean, people doing the most with this money that Biden is giving out. Next thing you know, everybody's balling. People buying shit. People really living for today. Especially, like I said, if you want to know the difference between a man and a woman, if you want to know the difference between a real man and a little boy, look at how these little boys consume like girls. These little boys consume like females. They consume like females. So now you got these little boys out here consuming like females. And you got females consuming like crazy. And the government, women love to get shit and not think about the consequences. I know this. I've learned this in my life by looking at people in my family or friends and things of that nature. One of the things we always said was, when you sell drugs or do anything like that, and you bringing home big money, nobody questions you. They spend the money, they go buy their Birkin bags, whatever's popular at the moment, they go do it. It's not until you get locked up, it's not until shit hit the fan. Now people like, oh, but they didn't have no problem with it when you was providing for their greed, for their stupidity. Now you stupid for providing for their stupidity, but stupid is as stupid does. A fool and their money shall part. But all of the issues that we have in are because we have given women authority to dictate in far-reaching places. They're able to dictate how the country is gonna move, how things are gonna happen. They're able to do this, and because we have women in these far-reaching places where they can't be touched, we in a position now where things have been voted in, things have happened, and you can't do anything about it. It's over. There has to be some restoration, because some people say that power is taken. And in some instances, power is taken. But in other instances, especially dealing with women, power a lot of times is given. So when women get in a certain position, they automatically give over the power. So if somebody break in the house, you and your girl could be arguing. She could be like, it's an equal partnership. Somebody break in the house, your girl like, go to the front door. You know what I'm saying? She's giving over the power to you now. So there are times where power is given, and it's best to get power when it's given as opposed to taken. Because when you take power, you build up resentment, and that resentment never goes away. And that's the reason why so many people that are using force over choice, this is one of the biggest reasons why they never their run never lasts long, and their children never really get the benefit from their run, because they're doing things by force. And so even when your children get to a certain point, people don't forget what Fidel Castro did. You see, people don't forget what, people don't forget. They remember. You know what I'm saying? And so if you go into a situation where you forcibly taking shit from people, they're going to have a long memory, especially the men, especially if you fuck their women, especially if you enslave their children, shit like that. But the primary point that I'm making right now is the point of everything that's happening now is no surprise, man. This is all very predictable. This was all predictable because you have a situation where people are making decisions for today. You have a situation where people are basically thinking like women. So what's the point? What's the point to all of this shit? The point is, you have got to start thinking like a man. If you're not already thinking like a man, you have to start thinking like a man. And you have to run your household like a man. And anything that looks like it's going down the feminine pathway, you have to cut that shit off. You gotta run your household like a man. If you want to know how men run the household, there's a great example is the difference between a female bachelor pad and a man's bachelor pad without roommates. Because usually when you get roommates, it's crazy. But typically speaking, when you look at how men operate and you look at how women operate, minimalism is an idea that's really more masculine. Not consuming as much is really an idea that is masculine. Not consuming as much is a masculine idea. Producing more, consuming less. Minimalism. So when you running your household and you make money and your girl make money if she go to work, if you live in that type of household, you and your girl should have a bunch of money. Y'all shouldn't have a bunch of mindless shit around. You shouldn't have a TV in your bedroom. You shouldn't have a the only place you should have a TV is in your entertainment room. You shouldn't have cell phones in the bedroom. The bedroom is a place of love, romance, and sex. So if you have these things in your home, in your bedroom, you automatically are going to turn on the TV, and then it's not going to be just you and your wife. It's going to be you, your wife, the television. So at the end of the day, gentlemen, what I'm basically saying to you in a nutshell, gentlemen, is that there are ways that are feminine and there are ways that are masculine. Most men are masculine. Most men are masculine. Even if they was raised by a single mother. The difference between a man raised by a single mother and a regular man that was raised by his father is that a man raised by a single mother, it takes him a little bit longer to trust his masculine instincts. But outside of that, if you a man and you heterosexual, 9 times out of 10, you're masculine. You just don't trust your masculine instincts because you've been taught to worship women. And so you're not like, hell no. Bro, if women exhibit a certain type of behavior, you gotta leave those women alone. If she has the behavior of a consumer, you gotta leave that female alone because you really can't build anything with that type of woman. You really can't. Because every time you get it, or every time she get it, she gonna spend it. Which means that you don't have no control in the relationship. Everything that's going on in our country right now, gas prices going up, inflation, food shelves looking how they look. All of these things are the results of men following women, men giving over their power to women. A lot of men think that if I give my power over to women, the women they'll listen to me and they'll still follow me even though I gave them the power. No, that's not how females work. You gave your power over.
Heard. And of course, maybe this is generational. I had someone tell me that we have a whole generation of millennials that just want to be heard. But I think some of this is really a question of how has the local government responded in a way that is providing people the feeling that their politicians are responsive to the needs they're expressing. And I think many parts of our government, from the state and local level to the federal level, are actually a little ossified. You know, they were devised many decades ago, and they really haven't changed much.
Well, let's go now to a story from someone whose tenure in local public service started out with optimism and hope, but didn't end that way. Amy Peel lives in Novato, California. It's a town of about 55,000 people, a bit north of San Francisco. Amy retired in 2014 after nearly 30 years as the director of transplant operations at UCFS Medical Center. In late summer 2019, she was approached by a group of women who were organizing campaigns for local government.
So they asked to meet with me. I was very impressed. And they were very, very clear, and they'd done their homework on me, and they said, we really want you to run. We really will support you. We'll show up for you. And they did it all. They showed up, they wrote letters, they contributed. So that really touched my soul.
In November 2019, Peel was elected to Novato's City Council. And she said she got along with most of her fellow council members, but chafed against some bureaucratic realities, like California's Brown Act, which requires local government business to be conducted at open and public meetings. That sounds good in theory, but Peel said it meant that council members couldn't really discuss issues with each other unless it was at official meetings, which were time constrained.
Prior to this tenure I had on city council, I was always in a collaborative environment. I was in a place where we talked about everything, made the best decision, didn't always agree, but we could do that. This law prohibits that from happening until there's a public meeting.
What's going on?
It's like to me, it was like politics in a silo.
Peel also says she dealt with residents angry about COVID mitigation efforts.
I'm not wearing a mask. You can't make me wear a mask. I'm not getting vaccinated. You can't. So we got all of us in council got those kinds of things and those calls. And this is my first foray right into politics.
Peel says residents would yell at her and other council members.
All of a sudden, or maybe it was always there, everybody had permission to just be really mean, really rude, beyond. And just for the record, these are not high-paying jobs, okay? You don't do this for the money. In our city, you get $400 a month. So it's not like you're getting rich here.
About a year and a half into her tenure, Peel says the stress of the job got to her. She said she was irritable, not sleeping, snapping at her husband.
I just thought, this isn't good for me. I'm not my best self. I can't do this anymore. It's just not healthy for me, physically and mentally. And that's kind of where I got to. And it was hard.
In September 2021, Peel resigned. She said in a public statement when she ran for and won her seat, she was filled with pride and optimism, but the demands of the position in the current climate had severely impacted her health.
It's not for the weak of heart and mind. And it was a lot of introspection. And I know I made the right decision, but I'm not going to tell you it was easy at all.
That was Amy Peel, who served on the city council in Novato, California. Matt, I want to turn to you. These people, as Amy Peel said, people aren't doing this to get rich. They're not doing this for the glory. They're usually doing this because they want to make a difference and impact their communities. How big of an impact is it when folks feel like this is detrimental to their own well-being to even try?
I think it makes it even more so. Members.
So if you missed the story, a group of females came and elected Amy to be on the city council. And then Amy decided, okay, I'll be on the city council. And she did the same thing that Keisha Lance Bottoms did, which is she quit. She quit because she said it had a negative impact on her health and her livelihood. And, yesterday I was looking at a lady who was in the military, and they was questioning her on why she think women shouldn't be in the infantry. And she said, because women bodies are not built for being in the infantry. And they was really, really ridiculing this woman because she said that women bodies wasn't made for infantry and things of that nature. And so they said, well, you was in infantry, so how can you say that? She said, as a result of that, I can't have children. I can't get pregnant. There are real life consequences to me being on the front lines, being in combat. And, I don't think that we should just be dealing with women and putting women in these type of predicaments. This is what she was saying. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, man, women are going to give us the power back. They are going to give us the power back. But when they give us the power back, it's going to be when everything is in shambles. Just like when you wake up in the morning, just like if somebody was to try to rob the house, you and your girl could have been arguing for 3 years about equal partnership. Y'all could be arguing about, decision making and things of that nature. But when somebody come break in the house, she gonna say, get up and go see what that's about. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, women give power over, but they always give it over too late. And the thing is, men should have never gave women this power anyways. Everything that we are seeing happen in 2022 is a result of us giving women power. We gave women power to control birth. We gave women power to break up the family. We gave women power to elect government officials. We gave women power to basically say, I don't need no man, even though everything that women do is because men set it up for women to be able to do it. Because when you look at books like The Manipulated Man, it talks about how men have always had this type of relationship with women where men wanted to give women what men have. So as a result of that, a man will say, I'm ambitious. I like to, have freedom. I like to be in charge. I like to be in the leadership position. And he looks over at his woman and he's like, oh, I'm suppressing my woman. So let me build a dishwasher. Let me build washing machines. Let me do things so that my woman can have more liberty, more autonomy. Let me do things so that my woman can act on her ambitions and things of that nature. Now, you have men who believe these type of things. We call this a blue pill mindset. And then women get in these positions and they like, hold up. I know that's what I said I wanted, but I don't really want that. You know what I'm saying? And you can see that in this story with Amy. And you can just see that in everything that's going on in our country. In Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms really quit. You know what I mean? Like, the city was in shambles. And I'm not saying that every man is a good leader, but if you fell in your leadership as a man, you are never allowed to just lay on your back and quit and submit. Never. Only women can do that. Only women can do that. And for that reason, you should never give leadership over to women, because they have an option to default on the leadership. As a man, you never get that option. You never get that option as a man. And everything that we see, man, I'm just saying, as men, we have to, I don't want to say whole masculine frame. I'm saying that we have to, not for females, for our own self, we have to stop thinking like bitches. You feel me? Like, bro, you care about your image, you care about how you look and all of that type of stuff. That's good when you talk about putting yourself together with some level of pride. When you say, all right, I'm gonna shave myself. Okay, I'm gonna put on, like, I got, 5 nice suits or whatever. But when you talking about, you out here trying to live a life of luxury, you out here acting like a consumer, You want to have big chains on. You want to have big watches on. You want to have on ball mane. You want to every trend. You want to keep up with every trend. That's not manly. That's not manly. That's also something that men do to try to act like an alpha male by showing off their wealth, because they know that women look at all of those things as indicators, as pre-selectors to see what your value is as a man. So he's like, yo, once I get this Benz, when I got on this ball mane, when I got on these chains, I don't even got to talk to a female. They going to talk to me. Just the other day, they were showing LeBron James getting chased out the mall by females. So a lot of guys are thinking like, once I show a certain status, once I move a certain type of way, I'm going to be able to get women and sway women and things. But all of that's now you acting like a female because you trying to get females. Instead of being a man, making sure you got money stored up, making sure you prepare for certain situations, and also making sure that you are happy and the people around you are happy. They have two types of goals that they talk about when they break down happiness: intrinsic goals and extrinsic goals. Intrinsic goals are spending time with your family, eating dinner at the table, cooking meals, things that are wholesome, that don't really cost a lot of money to do. Then you have extrinsic goals, which is about status and wealth and displaying these things. And people that lean more to extrinsic goals are unhappy because their life is built on a level of being superficial. Now, who's more superficial, men or women? It's very easy to see that women are far more superficial than men, but a lot of y'all men have been tricked to believe that women are deep, that they're mystical. They're not. You got a woman. Do you put on makeup, nigga? No, you do not. Do you sit around and just all day think about how you look? And no, you don't, because as a man, you've been told no enough, so you know that you're not all of that. You've been told no as a man, so you know you have a stronger idea of reality and what it means to actually work for something from day one. You see what I'm saying? So if you out here and you buying up shit and you care about having on the latest trends and fashions and, you know, spending up all your money and resources, you basically thinking like a female. You know what I mean? So, like I said, at the end of the day, man, a lot of the situations that we are in as a country is because we got too many men thinking like women, and we got too many women in leadership. Too many women in leadership, and women always do what's best for right now. They always do what's in their best interest right now. When God said that man is the head, that means that you have foresight. You have the ability to see things that's coming down the line. Most men are not surprised about anything that's happening right now. Most of the time, when men try to have conversations with women, men don't have conversations with women a lot of times about right now, today. Men have conversations with women and other men about what's going to happen if you keep moving in this direction. And that is why when we look at men that come from single parent households and women that come from single parent households, a lot of times we see that they end up going to jail more, and because they don't actually think about the consequences. They don't think about what's going to happen down the line because they did not have a man in their life to provide them with the skill set of foresight. One of the major indicators in someone being successful is delayed gratification. That means one of the main indicators of success is not getting something right away. It's having the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to invest this dollar today so that I can get $5 tomorrow, instead of saying I want my $1 right now so I can do whatever I want to do with my $1 because I know that it's another dollar coming around the corner. But when you got a feminine mindset, when you've been raised to think like a woman, if you ever thinking about right now, if your mindset is ever heavily in consumption, you thinking like a woman, and it's gonna be detrimental to everything that you think you're trying to build, because it's not gonna be able to last. And so real men seen this coming. You know how I know real men seen this coming a long time ago? Because I've been watching Red Pill videos since late 2018. And men have been saying this for a long time. For a long time. If you think that what's going on with Russia and Ukraine is by accident, if you think that, oh, what a coincidence, we had coronavirus, a plague, a fake demic. We had the coronavirus. The government made people shut down their businesses and put them in a financially weak position. I traveled the country with my family for from June 2020 till September 2021. I saved up money back in 2017, from really since I was 19. I saved up money so me and my family could travel the United States of America. And we traveled the United States of America from 2020 to 2021. And I had a specific incident. We was in New Mexico. We was sitting down enjoying. I bought a bottle of wine for me and my wife. We sitting there enjoying a bottle of wine. The guy comes in and says, the mayor just shut down everything. The mayor just told us that nobody could be here, so we had to pack our wine up and leave. They was getting ready to shut everything down. Same thing happened like 3 months earlier when I was in San Luis Obispo in California. It happened twice. Gavin Newsom shut down businesses twice. So this was the third time that they shut down businesses after those businesses were following COVID regulations. They made the businesses put up plexiglass. At the same time that was happening, they were allowing people to riot the streets. And the men were sitting back saying, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. The men were saying this. The men were saying, we're going to vote for Trump. Ice Cube said, I'm going to take a contract for America and put it in front of with Biden and Trump. He got ridiculed by his own women from his own ethnicity. And what that shows is that even though Ice Cube is a powerful man, even though he gave these women jobs on Players Club, even though he's a powerful man, what it shows is that when you give women the ability to be in a leadership role, they can easily gang up and say, yeah, we don't want that Ice Cube, and get rid of Ice Cube. So they got rid of him. They got rid of Ice Cube when Ice Cube was coming with the contract for America. So men, listen, there has not been a movement. If you look at history, there has not been a movement that was started by men that other men let rock out. When the Black Panthers started their movement, when Martin Luther King was doing his movement, when Malcolm X was doing his movement, when Marcus Garvey was doing their movement, because they know that when men are putting together movements, they understand that we are putting together movements to get our community back. They understand that when they allow women to be at the head of the movement, the women are doing everything for right now. What's going to satisfy them right now? Can I get food stamps right now? Can I get a check from the government right now? The men always say, nah, don't get the check. Look, sister, We're going to practice being self-sufficient. It's more than enough money. What we're going to do, we're going to feed these babies. We're going to start food programs and things of that nature. They walked in the house and shot Fred Hampton in the head. Why? Because he was looking at doing something for his community. What he was doing was dealing with foresight. It wasn't dealing with just right now. And that was a bigger threat to the government than Black Lives Matter and all of these things that's being done by women, because they know all we got to do is keep feeding you until we don't want to feed you no more. And if we feed you, you will kill your men off. You will stop listening to your men. You will say you don't need a man if we feed you. That's all we got to do. And so now we have important decisions to make as men, because now we have to make the decision as men how we want to move forward when women come back, when somebody knock on the door and you got to get up. You got to make a decision as a man now moving forward, because when things get ugly, we know that there's going to be a lot of backtracking. We know that there are going to be women that say, you know what, you can have it now. We know that that's going to be the case. But what are you going to do when that situation happens? See, I already got my plans. These bitches going to be in the cold. If you wasn't listening and following my instructions, you don't get the benefit of my protection and leadership. And you know, that's what I love about pimps. I was listening to Sinful to P, and he was breaking down this interaction with this guy from Adam 22. I forget the dude's name, but he like, that woman didn't break herself. She didn't give you no money. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, at the end of the day, if that woman ain't coming to you when her pocket's full and saying, here go the money, I don't care if she work a 9 to 5. I don't care how she get the money. If she not bringing you the money, she don't get your protection and your provision. Everything she got, if you protecting her, it belongs to you. This is the way that power works. This is how power works. In America, you don't own a piece of land. You have the illusion of owning a piece of land. But if they want to take that land, they say, hey, this is America. We protect you. We claim eminent domain. We'll give you a little bit of compensation for it. But at the end of the day, all of this belongs to America. You have to have that same mindset. You have to have that same strategy when these women come back and they begging and they saying, I need to get out the cold. You need to have the same mindset of, okay, if you want to get out the cold, then you need to realize that everything that's yours is mine, and everything that you're going to get in the future is mine. There's no more, I don't need a man. You see what I'm saying? So, but the point is, the reason why you need women to do that is because until you get women to submit and give things over, they're not going to yield to your foresight. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to be like, I got a little stash over here and I'm listening, but when shit get ugly, I'm going to get out the situation. I'm going to go find something else to do. And that's fine if somebody want to do that. But the point of the conversation is not money. This is also where a lot of men start acting like women. Okay, a lot of y'all dudes, you put up with certain shit because you abandon your principles for money. So you a bitch to money, basically. You see what I'm saying? You will bend over backwards for a motherfucking dollar. So you don't stand on principles. And when you do not stand on principles, you get caught up in the idea of money. It's not about money. It's about realizing that as a man, you are a leader. And you need to accept and put yourself in a leadership role. You need to grab your nuts and realize nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you as a man. So if nobody's coming to save you as a man, but they're asking you to protect them, You have to use them to protect yourself and to protect them. In the game of chess, the most valuable piece on the board is the king. If the king is out, it's over. And so when you start looking at your life and how you moving throughout life, over time, I told you, you got to play chess. But over time, you have to start looking at yourself like a king. You have to look at yourself like that, especially as you get older. Younger men are supposed to be the pawns. Younger men and younger women are supposed to be the pawns. But in real life, you don't always have an enemy like you do on a chessboard. So a lot of times what you are doing is you are building your pawns up. You know what I mean? So that your pawns have more power when they get in the role of a decision maker. Listen, there's a very interesting statistic that I rolled out the other day. Dave Ramsey talked about it, but you have to understand that like 80% of wealth never gets to the third generation. That means that if you was a man or a woman and you went out here and you built up wealth, when you passed it along to your children squandered the wealth. That's what that means. Most successful people lose their legacy because they don't build up their children to be able to carry the legacy when they're no longer around. So in times where there's no war, you're supposed to be building up your children. You're supposed to be building up your pawns so that the things that you leave to them, when you do have a transfer of power, those people understand how to deal with the resources and they understand how to win if there should ever be a war. But the point is, these are the ways that men think. These are not the ways that women think. And the consequence of us following women is that we no longer have foresight in general. We know everything that I just laid out to you is foresight. It's about playing a game. It's the Great Wall of China. It's about building some shit up. But if you don't think about building nothing up, and listen, for all of the enlightened brothers out there is a such thing as build and destroy. When we talk about supreme mathematics, there is a such thing as build and destroy. And I think one of the most underestimated and one of the things that a lot of blue pill men are fighting against right now is the fact that the red pill is destroying a lot of shit right now that should be destroyed. It's a lot of bullshit out here that needs to be eradicated so that we can start building again. And it's natural to go through these cycles if you're an 85er. 85ers are supposed to be subjected to the cycles of nature. But when you become a 5%er, when you become a person that understands the laws of nature, you are supposed to, if nothing else, have the foresight to even capitalize in the winter. You're supposed to have the foresight to be able to not be in a position to where you become subjected to the bullshit. If I tell you that most children destroy the wealth that their parents left, as a 5%er, I just gave you knowledge and wisdom and understanding. You're supposed to be able to now take that and say, now, what am I going to do so that my children are not able to squander the wealth? You should not be subjected to that. That should be a mission that you on now. If you know that when the wintertime comes, you're not able to grow certain crops, you're going to have to wisen up and say, okay, well, what do I do when it's the wintertime so that I can maintain myself? If you don't think the winter is coming, you thinking like a female. Anywho's, man, like I said, I'm looking at what's going on in Russia. I'm looking at what's going on out here. A lot of men been talking about it, so I know this is no surprise to most men. You see what I'm saying? But this is the consequence. The proverbial chickens are coming home to roost. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, your job is to now figure out how you want to move forward. Do you want to listen to Kevin Samuels and bring in, you know, and bring in women who and get married and shit like that? Or do you want to be MGTOW? Or do you like, how are you going to move forward? Whatever you do in moving forward, I'm encouraging you to start thinking ahead. How far ahead do you need to be thinking as a man? As a man, you need to be thinking about what do you have for the next 6 months, particularly autumn and winter. How are you preparing yourself for those 2 months, those barren months? After that, you need to be thinking about what you looking like for a year. Once you move out of a year, you need to be thinking about 5 years. After 5 years, you need to go to 10 years. You see what I'm saying? One of the ways in which, because some people also live under the illusion that these people don't all work together. When I look at all of this, I say, you know what? This may be something where the United States is trying to get Ukraine to get in with NATO before they jump in. But the point is, a lot of these people work together. In the New World Order, a lot of these people work together. But the point is, one of the ideas that they have is for you to be speculative in nature. What does it mean to be speculative? It means to be a flipper. An investor goes into every situation thinking about holding on to it for 10 years. If you in the stock market right now, if you into financials right now, if you haven't gotten to the point where you got 6 months of emergency money set aside, you shouldn't even be invested. Because if there's an emergency, you're going to have to take money out of your investments to cover for the emergency. That's why when it comes to building a financial house, the 6 months, the emergency is the foundation that you need to begin to have a certain level of certainty. And if you always have 6 months, if you always 6 months ahead, you in a great position now to start moving really all the way up to saying anything that I buy up to this point, I'm keeping for 10 years. I'm not buying nothing that I'm interested in getting rid of in 5 years, in 5 months, in 5 days. When the New World Order is operating, they're always operating on your speculation. They always operating on the idea of, let's boost the stock market up. If you in the stock market right now and you need the money that you got, you need to get out the stock market, because your shit gonna fall so fast when the big boys sell off. When they talk about beating Wall Street, the only surefire way to beat Wall Street is by keeping your money in the market. That way you benefit when the big boys sell and you benefit when the big boys buy. But you don't have enough money to flip with the big boys because you're going to get caught in the tide. Anywho's, man, you know, whoever was on with me, this is my first time going live, doing it on the phone, so I can't even really see. I don't even know if it's possible to see, but I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with me. Hope y'all learned something, you know what I mean? And we'll be back in here with more videos for y'all. Peace.